So, what do we do now? Because Blizzard is going on a lawsuit rampage. Almost every single server that I know of is either getting hit or they're going into hiding, basically. So, Turtle Owl is not obviously the first one. I would say in the last year or so, Shinobi Story was the first of the servers that I was following, but it was kind of like a server in the corner. I liked it, I played it, and I really liked it, but it wasn't as well known as Turtle WoW, so it actually surprised me that they got hit, especially because everything that they made was custom. Like, the map, a lot of the assets were custom. Yeah, they used a few World of Warcraft assets and a couple of the mechanics like the questing system, but essentially, most, like the weapons, the armor, for the most part, it was all custom. The entire map, everything about it, pretty much. So, that again really surprised me that it got a cease and desist and it shut down. And then since then, sorry if I'm clearing my throat, I just ate. And then since then, we've now gotten Turtle WoW. They've gotten cease and desist before, and they threw that shit out. Well, now they've gotten an actual lawsuit. Not just a lawsuit, they've got the RICO Act on them, which basically is Blizzard inferring that they are an organization, which they are kind of in a sense an organization, but to a greater extent, for pure profit. Like, there's a lot more to a RICO Act. I'm just kind of generalizing in a basic terminology, but it's a very serious, it's a very serious, charge to be put against you. So Turtle WoW is getting railed in the ass right now. Now, I don't believe they're going to be shutting down. They are going to be fighting this tooth and nail. These are the kind of guys that are like, fuck Blizzard, we're not gonna come to you on your terms. So, the worst thing that's gonna happen, which we know that they're gonna lose the lawsuit. I think it's a 99.9% chance that Turtle WoW is gonna lose their lawsuit. But, the worst thing that can happen is that they're gonna lose social media websites, anything that is within the US law. They're not going to have, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to lose probably payment processors. So they're all going to have to do everything from Russian servers, which means, worst case scenario, if you're in the US, maybe some of the European countries as well, you're going to have to use a VPN to connect to Turtle WoW. Worst case scenario. I don't know if it'll go that far, but definitely there's going to be no website, no YouTube channel, no nothing with Turtle WoW on it. Since then, other servers are now getting cease and desist. We just saw, I made a video on Project Epoch getting cease and desisted on everyone who was working on it. Now, that's just a cease and desist. They're not going to get lawsuited. That's just saying, we're about to lawsuit you. So, from what I can tell, everyone has, because there was a speculation that, oh, it's just appearing that they're leaving the project, but they're going to work on it in the background secretly. I have talked to somebody behind the scenes on Ascension, and they have confirmed that they know nothing about that in terms of, these guys are gone. K-Totes, Iridan, everyone who was working on it, they're gone. So they're out of here. And the server itself has been signed over to Ascension, so the server is still up and running under Ascension. I'm going to get to Ascension in a second, because now I actually just found out, because it wasn't circulating around as much, but the Everlook server has now been shut down. That one actually shut down from other cease and desist that just hit them. Now, I'm not as favorable to Everlook, only for the reason, and I'm gonna get to this later because this is gonna be a explanation of mine I'll explain it later, but essentially I'm not as favorable to them in terms of the law, because they are a Blizz-like and Blizzard now has a classic version. Again, I'll explain that in a minute. It's not a custom or a vanilla plus like the other servers were. Now, Ascension is the next big one. I'm actually surprised that Everlook got hit before Ascension, or Epoch got hit before Ascension, because Ascension, in my opinion, is bigger than Turtle WoW. Like, I personally don't like playing Ascension. I don't like the classless stuff. It's basically like a classless simulation. I don't like it. I didn't like the people on there. Nothing against the developers. I think they do a good job. I'm talking about like the players. There's a lot of stuff about Ascension I did not like, and I gave it a very bad review. But again, I don't think ill will of the server. I don't think ill will of the devs. I've got nothing against them. Now, the reason why I'm surprised they didn't get hit first is because they're way more massive, because they advertise a fuck ton. Like Blizzard was insinuating that Turtle WoW was, what was their terminology? Like aggressively marketing or something. I don't remember the exact terminology, but they were saying as if their advertisements are everywhere. I may have maybe seen like one actual advertisement from Turtle WoW. The rest of it is either YouTube videos from, people like me or McDoubles or somebody else in that nature, or their own YouTube channel giving out the the video showcasing the Unreal Engine, or some other YouTubers talking about it in passing, like Belluar or Asmongold or somebody. So even Nixium. So that's the extent I've seen him. Now, when it comes to Ascension, I see their fucking, like, an actual advertisement everywhere, on Facebook, on YouTube. Before a video plays, it shows up an advertisement for Ascension. Pop-ups on the side of the screen, which most of them are blocked, but I still get them sometimes. Even on my phone where I don't have ad block. Ascension, Ascension, Ascension. I'll be scrolling on Facebook or something, and sure enough, sponsored Ascension. And I'm like, so yeah, they heavily advertise. So, like I said, I'm surprised that they haven't already been hit, if not hit first. But that means that they're probably going to be next. Now, that's going to be a problem for a lot of servers, because Ascension is trying to be an umbrella. They're trying to make their launcher the Steam launcher of private servers, in terms of World of Warcraft private servers, because, obviously they have Ascension, then they have Bronzebeard, which is still under the Ascension name, but it's its own thing, it's not classless, and then you have Conquest of Azeroth. I'm actually not sure if Ascension owns it, or if somebody else is developing it under their umbrella. I don't know that, but you have Conquest of Azeroth, and then you have, what's it called? Sargeras' Embrace. You have World of RuneScape, and probably other projects that I'm not aware of. So, you have a lot of private servers under their umbrella, and if they get hit, it's the organization, that umbrella, that's gonna get hit. So, that's gonna put a lot of these private servers in danger. Now, I believe that they're going to fight tooth and nail. I think they're not gonna go out without a fight like Turtle WoW. So, I doubt they'll be shut down, but the exact same thing that I said about Turtle WoW could also happen to them. So bye-bye advertisements, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, all that stuff, payment processors, which is a big one for them, because they, on most of their servers, not all of them, but most of them, they sell pay-to-win stuff or cosmetics, and I say not all of them because World of RuneScape doesn't do that. Project Epoch just started selling stuff, but so far as what I've seen has been cosmetic only. But regardless, payment processor, out the toilet. So, or in the toilet rather. Yeah, so there's a lot of private servers getting hit one after another, and we really don't know why it's now just starting to happen, other than there is the speculation that Blizzard is planning on making their own Classic Plus. I doubt it. It could happen, I doubt it. But that's not what happened with Nostalrius, because they shut down Nostalrius, and they didn't even think about making their own Classic until Nostalrius fought for it. They went to Blizzard and advocated for it. Mark Kern went there in person with a stack in a trolley of a signed petition that he printed out himself to bring on a vanilla server for World of Warcraft. So that's when they said, okay, fine. Now then, I'm going to get to what I was talking about earlier, where I'm going to expand my argument here. I know that, I don't think this is all of it, but you know that movement, Stop Killing Games? Now, I haven't really looked too far into it, but from what I gathered, I could be wrong, but from what I gathered, it's a movement to, it's multiple layers of what it's trying to do, but one of them is trying to protect emulation for games that are no longer in service or being published or produced or whatever. So if you cannot access the game normally, players should be allowed to host their own server and offer the service if the company is not offering the service to begin with. So, like, in the terms of the crew, they were no longer going to be providing the service of being able to access the game. So people wanted to make their own. Well, first of all, they were pissed off that they lost that game because they couldn't even access it. They could, not even just not having online access, they couldn't access the game, period. So, in terms of games like that, and other games, obviously, there needs to be a way to emulate the game, to offer the game, because at that point in time, the company is not losing money because they're not offering it to begin with. So, in terms of Nostalrius, I'm going to go back a little bit. Nostalrius was offering a service that Blizzard was not providing, aka a vanilla-style I say Blizz-like in terms of no changes, server, because at that time, you could not go back and play it on an official server. They were offering a service Blizzard was not. Now then, that led to them, like I just said, now providing that service. Now, I'm not going to be talking about Season of Mastery, Season of Discovery. Those themselves are not vanilla. They're not classic, Blizz-like. Well, they're Blizz-like in terms of Blizzard made them, but you know what I'm talking about. They're not pure vanilla. They're not classic, whatever you want to call it, and they're not classic plus or vanilla plus. They are their own little seasonal servers that do bullshit. Okay? So, excluding those, pure classic server, they are now providing that service. Whether you like Blizzard or hate the few changes that they did to it or not, they are providing that service. So, that's why I am not as favorable to servers like Everlook anymore, because they are a Blizz-like server. Therefore, they have almost no standing ground on which to fight Blizzard legally. Now then, in terms of Turtle WoW and Project Epoch, especially other servers like World of RuneScape, even though they haven't been hit yet, in terms of Ascension WoW, they are offering a service that Blizzard currently is not. Because, some servers do it more than others, but there is a lot of customness to the servers that are not part of the original vanilla. So, therefore, it cannot be considered vanilla or classic. That is why we give it the label Vanilla Plus or Classic Plus, because it's not that. It's its own thing beyond that. So, if anything, that is something that they could use in the court. I don't think it would work, but they could use that argument, because it is, at this point, an artistic expression. These are fans making their own servers that are not a service being provided by Blizzard. Which is why Blizzard is probably going to just focus on that they are using the assets. But at the same time, again, other servers do it more than others. So servers like Shinobi Story, they had half, if not more, of their assets custom. World of RuneScape, more and more, is adding custom assets. You know, when I first played that first beta in that server, you know, it was just recolored World of Warcraft assets for your armor and your weapons. And then, you can see this clearly in my quest guide for Dragon Slayer. The start of it, I'm wearing adamant armor the entire time, but the start of it, I look completely different. Halfway through, the armor looks completely new. Because it was a new custom asset to make it look more like RuneScape rather than the World of Warcraft armor. So, those servers, I think, have way better standing because, again, it's all custom. They made it. Their coding, their art. So, the more custom it is, the more protected it is from Blizzard. The less so is less so, obviously. But now, where does that lead us? Because I've talked to a couple of YouTubers and a couple of developers. Now, I haven't talked to most of them. I actually just sent out, before I started recording this, several DMs to at least 3 or 4 other developers, like head developers of servers. I'm trying to gauge what they think on the situation. And the reason why is because yesterday, as if you've been following my Discord or my community posts, I received a message, a DM, from one of the head developers of a server I mentioned on this video. I won't say which, only for not for you guys, it's for them, because they asked me to kind of stop covering the server. And that's essentially what I'm getting at. I've been asked now by a few of them to stop covering the servers, and it's nothing against me, it's that they want to go under the radar. Everybody is under fire right now. They're, like, here's the line, you know, Turtle WoW was up here, right? Epoch was probably just over, Ascension's over it. There's a couple of them that are either just under or right at that level. They need to coast right now and glide downward. So they say, stop covering. We don't want anybody covering us. We want our name to not be circulated as much so we can get under that radar and try to avoid Blizzard for now. That does not mean they are stopping the server. These guys are not jumping like Epoch did. They're going to be continuing progression on this server, stay the course, and when it is time, when we feel it is more safe, then you can cover the server again. But for right now, we gotta relax. So, with that, I'm gonna oblige, obviously. I will not cover their server until they tell me it is okay to do so. Other servers, I'm gauging right now whether they want me to talk about it or not in order to, you know, see where they want to go forward. If they feel threatened, if they don't give a fuck, we'll find out. So where does that leave me now? Because, well, originally this channel was for cosplay, funny enough. I split that, so now I've got my own cosplay channel that I never post to because I always forget to record myself making things. But I turned this kind of like into a pseudo-gaming channel, which then progressed into World of Warcraft private servers, because World of Warcraft, I grew up with it. You know, it's my passion. I love the characters, the stories. Obviously not modern ones. From the last, like, 4 or 5 years or 6 years. Not that. Anything post-Legion, or I would say anything post the opening cutscene of Battle for Azeroth, because that was badass, right? You know, that even though the expansion was shit, that cutscene was badass. anything post that cutscene where Chris Metzen is not a part of it is not canon to me. So, any from here all the way to Warcraft 1, I'm still passionate about. Yes, I have issues with some of the gameplay mechanics of the newer, and I say newer in terms of up to Legion expansions. I hate Legion. I'm open about that. There's some things about it I like, but I hate Legion. Warlords of Draenor, I have a love-hate relationship, but I can agree it is a bad expansion. And I love the other expansions, but I also have some gripes. You know, I love Wrath of the Lich King, but I think it could have been better. I am okay with Burning Crusade, but there are some things that it added that I don't like. Besides that, I am still passionate. I will still go and play those expansions. I stick to vanilla because, one, it's the easiest one to get into, two, it's the entire world and not just one continent, and three, it's more of an RPG. Like, so much stuff that I just stick to vanilla. But I still love the world, the characters, the lore, the story, the music, the gameplay in most of the expansions, and everything about it. The reason why I make videos covering private servers is because I still have that passion, and I want to continue that passion that doesn't involve half-shaven lesbians talking down to the men of the game that I fell in love with. So, where do I go from here? Well, I still want to cover World of Warcraft. And, to an extent, I'm still going to cover private servers. However, given the lawsuit stuff going on, and the fact that several of these developers have asked me to chill out on my videos just so they can go under the radar, I'm going to do what they ask me to do. But now what do I do? Because that was my channel was covering private servers. Well, I also, on the side, did World of Warcraft general videos. For a while, when I was kind of first starting off, I was trying to do a series talking about the lore of the various ore and metals of World of Warcraft, because if you didn't know, I'm a welder. I blacksmith in real life, and I know a lot of metal qualities in real life, so I put that into when I used to roleplay into World of Warcraft as a blacksmith, and he'd go around and look for these rare ores and metals, and I memorized and learned each and every one up to about Legion or Battle for Azeroth, and I could tell you what they all do, where you could find them in the lore, mind you, and their properties, and I was starting to do a series on that. I might have to pick that back up and start it over. I want to do more World of Warcraft videos. I'll do that ore video. Maybe I'll do an herbalism video. I'm not really versed in herbalism, but I can learn. Maybe it's the same thing with skinning. Like, I could do all these profession videos, right? On just lore. Maybe I could do video essays about characters and the story, because if you didn't know, I had the script written out. I was gonna do a video essay about Anduin, but War Within came out and threw his entire story arc. I mean, his story arc got thrown out in Shadowlands, but it became even worse in War Within. So I had to throw that script away. Well, I didn't throw it away. I still have the script, but I didn't go through with it. However, I want to do a video on Varian, because Varian is dead. Therefore, unless they retroactively go back and fuck up his story like they did with Arthas, there's nothing more they can do to Varian. And I think Varian, even though I'm a Horde player, right? You know, down with the Alliance. Even though I'm a Horde player, I can still tell you, Varian is one of the best written hero characters. He's got a complete story arc. From the start to the finish, he's got, yes, a couple of different story arcs, but they all revolve around one thing. And that's him dealing with the two sides of him. His good side and his dark side. And it all leads to Legion. in... I'll make the whole video, right? It's fucking awesome. But essentially, I want to... Yes, I'll continue when I can with the private servers, but I want to give you guys what I feel about Warcraft. Essentially, returning to this. I want to return to this. Or this. You know? Not this pussy shit we've been getting with Power of Friendship and, that video of, what's his name, Danath Trollbane telling the black lesbian Lothar about how we need to be friends to the orcs, even though his name is Trollbane, and he is the founder, or at least one of the big people, of the Sons of Lothar, whose sole purpose is to slaughter every single orc in existence, because they were formed during the, not the first war, the second war. I think it was the second war, yeah. So yeah, let's return to this, or this. I know it's a little bit shrunken down, but you can see it. Badass Arthas, before he turned evil. Badass Grommash, drinking the extra dose of the blood of Manaroth. How about return to this? The two sides of Varian. Again, that's gonna be in my fucking video. Let's return to this. Blue-haired Tyrande. How about this? Slavery. Beheading of women. Racism. How about we return to this? Do you even know what this is from? I bet you fucking don't. Guess what? I read the book. That's from Wolfheart, which I will be covering extensively because it is about Varian. But that right there, do you know who that is? That's Jared's Shadowsong. That's Maiev Shadowsong's brother, and his wife dead. He brought her back to Teldrassil for a burial. But she asked him to go back, to bring her there on purpose because he was avoiding his own people. She, in her last breath, said, "Take me to Teldrassil," in order to get him to return to his people and stop, basically, a plot by his sister to slaughter their own people in terms of mages. Because guess what? There's not just racism and sexism in the Warcraft lore, there's classism too. That's one of the reasons a lot of places have demon hunters as kill on sight. Why a lot of people throw their warlocks into the fucking dungeons. Why rogues are spat on. And why in Night Elf society, they hate mages. How about this one? Do you know what that's from? Yeah, that's from Wolfheart as well. Look at that. That's Varian running with the Worgen to go slaughter the orcs in Ashenvale. And this is when he goes and 1v1s Garrosh. And fucking beats his ass. Garrosh did nothing wrong, by the way. Garrosh is the best war chief we've ever had. And how about that? It's another Varian one. That's just because I clicked on Varian, so I got a bunch of Varian pictures. But how about that? You're not going to see that again. Do you know what that's from? I bet you don't. That's from the Shattering book. When, what's her name? Oh god, what? I forgot her name. When, Magni Bronzebeard's daughter, I can't remember her name right now, she essentially kidnaps Anduin. So, Varian gets his SI-7, and they go through Ironforge, slaughtering every single Dark Iron Dwarf they can find, so he can get to Anduin and save him. See, that's the kind of Warcraft I want to return to. Not what we have now. And this, I think, is, until further notice, what I want to dedicate my channel to. I want to share with you the passion I have for that World of Warcraft. For the badassness, for the blood, glory, honor, whether you're an orc, or a filthy human, or a filthy elf, or an awesome troll or tauren, for the Horde. So, yeah, these videos might take me a little bit longer. I just can't pump them out like I can with the news videos of servers. So my videos will be coming out a lot slower than the twice a week that I was trying to keep up with. It might be once a week, it might be once every couple of weeks. I don't really know yet. I have to figure out my flow. But I have to do this all while doing my side business, working full-time. I've got 2 other channels that I work on, so we'll have to see. But with this video coming out, I want you all now, whether you post it in my comment section or go to my community post and vote, I'm going to be putting out a poll of 5, because I think it lets me put up to 5 things. I'll put up 5 things that I want to do, and I most likely will do all of them on my channel, but I want to see what you guys are more interested in, so that way I'll focus more on that theme or whatever terminology. I'll focus more on whatever you vote on, but I'll probably want to do everything that I write down. I haven't figured out the list yet. And obviously, like lore videos, video essays, you know what I was saying earlier. Maybe other stuff as well. I still need to do all of my videos on reviewing the expansions. I've only done vanilla. I think I did TBC, I don't remember. And I did Mr. Pandaria. I need to review... I think I need to review TBC. Like, I wanted to review all of the expansions, and then at the end give you, like, an amalgamated, like, what would be the best expansion ever if it hosted all of the best things from the best expansion, kind of. That's originally what I wanted to do, but I was like, it wouldn't make sense unless I go through all of the expansions and what they were good and what they didn't do good at. But anyway, yeah, this video is now half an hour long. Holy shit. So I will post up that poll. Go vote or write down in the comment section what you want to see from this channel. Again, I'll cover private servers when I can, but I'm going to have to expand on other stuff just so you don't go months at a time without content. And I will see you guys in the next video.